Hello, everyone, and welcome to a little bit of woo. I got a new laptop this weekend, and the new laptop does not like the old mic. So I just stole my husband's video game mic. He doesn't actually know yet. So I didn't want to not do this recording until I figured out what was wrong with the mic. So here we go. It's been a busy week. Oh my God. 2 airplane crashes, a war now with Canada. I'm trying to figure that one out. And geez, a whole lot of other things on the list to talk about. So first and foremost, entertainment purposes only. I'm going to talk a bit about the stock market. I am not a portfolio manager. I am not qualified to give you stock information. You should not listen to me. You shouldn't listen to anybody when it comes to stocks and bonds who does this kind of work because time is really tough for us. It's not like I can say it's going to happen at 10 on this day at this time and in this way and be 100% accurate. Truth is sometimes I'm wrong. I'm right a lot, but sometimes I'm wrong. So full disclosure, having said that, you're here, so yeah, you get my advice. I'm just going to say. Wow, it's been a rough weekend though. Geez, I was hoping it would be calmer. I was hoping there'd be less, and then I found out that we've started a trade war with Canada. Like, what happened? I thought they were our friends. I mean, I still think they're our friends. They probably don't think we're their friends though, and that's what I wanted to talk about a little bit here. So it's hard not to share this information and not share my opinion on it as well. But I will say that this is going to get resolved, obviously, one way or the other. Um, I do think the damage is done, though, in terms of our relationship with Canada. And imagine if you're a Canadian buyer right now, and you're looking at something. I mean, I'm not worried so much about Fritos and Fruit Loops. What if you want to buy a car? I mean, that's a huge amount of money, and you're looking at these lots, and you're thinking, should I buy a Ford or a Tesla, or should I buy a Volkswagen? I don't know. Which country do I feel more comfortable giving my money to? Forget the 25%. That's not going to matter as much here in this case. It is going to be a matter of pride not to purchase products from America. And I don't blame them one bit. I love Canadians. They're some of the nicest, most resilient people you'll ever meet in your life. But, they're not marshmallows. They're not going to be pushed around by a bully. And Mexico is very much the same way, although they work in a little bit different ways. So I will show you what I've intuitively been seeing. Intuitively, I've been seeing the same thing we've already saw in the news, which is Justin Trudeau coming out and saying, "Look, homie, don't play that. We're not going to play that game. We're getting the tariff. You guys are getting the tariffs too. Only we're going to give our customers, our citizens, 21 days." I don't know if you guys saw that interview. Go ahead and watch that interview that he did, where not the interview, he announced the tariffs. Um, 21 days to figure out if they can buy the product from someplace else before we start slapping the tariffs on. We as American citizens got the tariffs right away, with very little warning. By the way, we pay it, not the person selling it. The person buying it, when you purchase something from a country and there's a tariff, when that product lands, when you take receivership of it, the government actually just takes the money right out of your account right away, plus the tariff fee. So if you have already resold that product, let's say you're somebody, like I'm a manufacturer, right? And I've purchased, I don't know, product, 1,000 widgets. Actually, let's use a real example here. How about a bunch of iPhones? I have a company and I purchased a bunch of iPhones. And I've already sold half of those at the lower price, not knowing anything about this tariff. That product has already been sold at a contract price, and I still have to eat that 25%. So that's not going to be good for anyone. And it's not going to hit the average consumer right away. I know the news is making it sound like tomorrow you're going to go into Walmart and have to pay a lot more for food. That's not true. I don't know if some of you guys will probably remember the longshoremen's strike that was threatened caused companies like Walmart and Target, companies that have warehouses, to purchase a lot of product in advance and sit it in their warehouses and for the strike that never happened. So they have a lot of product that is tariff free. So you're not going to see the price increases at those stores for a while. But somebody like me who might import something from China or Canada or Mexico, we're going to get it right away, and we're going to have to pass it on to our consumer right away. So it's a tough one. And particularly, I think he just kind of killed the car market. I mean, really, a lot of cars a lot of cars from American manufacturers come from Mexico, come from Canada. Uh, Another industry I think a lot of people don't think about that comes from Mexico is a lot of medical device companies have offices in San Diego, and their manufacturing is in Mexico because the labor's cheaper. So the product comes into Mexico for final assembly, or comes into the US for final assembly, and they put in, like, slap that made in the USA sticker on it, even though it wasn't really made in the US. And those products will probably be subject as well. These are these are things that are in hospitals, you know. I mean, and there's a lot more of them than we think. So if there's some silver lining here, I will say, silver lining. I don't know if I'm gonna call it silver lining. A lot of us are going to become much, much more aware of where our stuff comes from. Does it come from China? Does our food come from Mexico? Yes. Do our cars come from Mexico? Yes. I'm not as much sure about what comes from Canada. I know oil comes from Canada. I know a lot of the natural gas comes from Canada. We're going to become a lot more aware, and we really should know where our stuff comes from and who we're paying for it. That's good information for all of us. I'm not going to sit here and say the sky is falling, because I don't really think it is. I think this is going to get resolved. I would love to say it's going to get resolved on Thursday at 3 o'clock. It might even be resolved before you guys watch this video, but it does feel like there's some egos involved. It does feel like there's more to this story. I do feel like the administration, 47's administration, has managed to anger some of its, I mean, I won't say some of its base, but he's actually managed to piss off his rich manufacturing friends, because I'm pretty sure that Apple is not happy about their products coming from China and having to pay more for everything too. So there's going to be anger from people that were really supporters. Um, that might come as a little bit of a surprise. So what I'm seeing a lot of what's happening too is kind of the approach that China is doing, which is they're taking them to court. A lot of people are going to be taking to court. I feel like almost like a line of people going to court, um, with lawsuits about being, falsely fired, tariffs being rules being broken, privacy laws being broken. I'm not even going to go into the list of all of those things, because you're going to see that one, and I think that'll happen pretty immediately. Laws about government overreach. I think you're going to see more additional states suing because of does he have the authority to put this tariff in place under the pretense of calling it an economic emergency? I don't, calling it fentanyl an economic emergency. By the way, only 1% of the fentanyl that comes in the United States comes through Canada. Uh, yeah, so that feels like BS right away. But I wasn't there. Nobody asked me my opinion. Another thing that I see a lot of coming up, and I do feel like this may be a little bit of what Leon is up to, is what I'm going to call disclosure events, which is kind of pulling out the different places and ways that we've been spending as a government money, people who've been getting money from the US government, and putting it into the court of public opinion. I do see a lot more of the news showing us, hey, do you guys realize that, $15 gazillion is going, I don't know, to help people in some other country get haircuts. I mean, I made that example up, obviously, but there's going to be things like that where they're going to be throwing it into the court of public opinion so that you and I can weigh in on it, hoping that they'll get support from that perspective. And some of those things will be things that people will look at and go, I can't believe we're spending money on that. And that's already kind of happened, right? That little freeze that they tried to do when the news was listing out the different places where money had been going and was going to be going, that it was now on hold. And a lot of people went, huh? How much are we spending on that? What? We fund that, right? I don't see that as a bad thing. I think we should be looking at some of the government offices and wondering if these things should still be around. Um, I like the idea of smaller government personally, and I like the idea of the states taking more of a lead, and I do see that coming in the future. I'm not sure how we get there. This might be it. I do feel, a lot of I would love to say that February is going to be easier. Obviously, it's not. So we're going to be seeing more of this stuff in February, more pushback from states, more pushback from countries. I do see almost, the guys were showing me kind of like Mexico's pushback is a little more passive aggressive than Canada's. Canada's is more like, here's your 25%, you'll have to deal with it. Mexico I see them like stopping trucks. I don't even know, this isn't making it into the news. Uh, not allowing them to sell products to the US because of it. I can see some things that would really make us angry and that are a little less passive aggressive is the best way of putting it. Not allowing trucks to come in, not allowing product to come in a timely manner. I do see some shortages of certain products, probably fresh fruits and vegetables, the kinds of things that you would see in this situation. I don't see it causing necessarily inflation. I just don't think the American people can or will pay for extra for things. And also, there will be other things that will be available, right? Probably not eggs, but I don't see inflation. I know everybody's saying they're concerned about it. I think it'll be on certain products. There will be plenty of food, but is there a particular brand of something that you like and they're going to be able to get it readily? I see that being more of an issue in the next few months because there's still plenty of a lot of things. But yeah, we're going to be seeing some shortages of things, a particular brand of a particular thing, but you can buy, a competitor's brand. Okay. Okay, stock market. Geez, I do feel like we may be hitting a tipping point where all of these little shocks, all of these little shocks to the system, scare tactics are going to come in, and the marketplaces start to get more skittish about putting money in and putting money in and putting money in. Um, I'm also very concerned from a macroeconomics perspective on how high the dollar is right now. That means that when other countries, there's a lot of things and products that are paid for in dollars, no matter which country is buying it, and they're having to pay more now for oil. I mean, oil's a great example, but also even things like commerce between countries, right? So if Australia wants to buy something from China, wants to buy a bunch of stuff. China wants dollars because they can use those dollars to buy oil. They don't necessarily want the local currency. I do see long term that this might end up changing that. Other countries may work out some kinds of deals. Uh, you know, they will exclude us from the conversation for obvious reasons, but there will be some kinds of alternative things happening as a result of this, and we may eventually end up not being the reserve currency. I'm not sure that's going to happen anytime soon, but I do feel like we've managed to make a lot of people mad. These actions have managed to make a lot of people mad, and if you're in Canada, guys, I didn't vote for him. Also, I would show you, proof, but apparently my vote disappeared. So I don't know. But it wasn't me. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. Just saying. So if I go on vacation, please don't hate me. I love Canada. It's a beautiful place. I haven't been to Mexico, actually. Is that weird? I used to live right next to it. I never went. Okay, so gold. People ask me all the time about gold, and I will stick with what I've said before, which is I don't really see it soaring. Now, if you're one of those people that thinks gold's going to the moon, buy some. Don't listen to me. Don't listen to me. If it makes you sleep better at night, having that in your safe, I want you to have it. That would make me feel better. Um, if you're asking me if I think it's going to the moon, I don't see it happening. I have been watching gold in the marketplace because people ask me about it all the time. And by and large, for the last few months, it's been tracking the stock market. It's stock market goes down, gold goes down. Stock market goes up, gold goes up. Crypto, I don't read on just because it's a jumping bean. I can't, when I tune in, I feel like government is involved in it, and it's not great energy, goes up and down all the time. I mean, the last 24 hours, it's gone up. It's gone down 16%. It's gone up 8%. When you watch this, it'll probably be an entirely different place altogether. So there you go. This will end up coming down. I can see in the history books them talking about the first 100 days of this 47's administration and talking about all the different things that happened. Possibly even talking about crashing the stock market, crashing the crypto market, crashing the housing market, managing to generate the highest numbers of lawsuits filed against an elected official ever. We're going to be seeing a lot of those things. There will be a lot of change. And I have said this over and over again because I do keep seeing it. For a lot of people, for most people, this is going to end up being a good year, but it's going to require you to be flexible. It's going to be requiring you to look at things you don't necessarily want to look at. Part of this disclosure event issue. I'll give you an example. I mean, this week, every other month or so, we go through our finances as a couple and we look at where we spent money because we have a software program that logs all of that. Hadn't done it for maybe 3 months, and I'm not gonna tell you the amount because it's embarrassing, but my husband is like, "Do you realize how much money we spent on boba tea?" Just like boba tea. We have a special category because we love that stuff. In the last 3 months, it's a stupid amount of money. I'm not even gonna tell you. But it's an easy fix for us to make. We'll have a boba tea allowance, right? We're not going to go more than a couple times a month, not a couple times a week, right? A couple times a month instead. And I would encourage everyone to go line by line through their household expenses and look at what they're spending their money on and really questioning it. And I'm encouraged when I see people doing this, because sometimes the difference between being on the edge and being much more comfortable is a matter of making little changes that you really don't notice so much, so that you don't have to make the really big changes like sell a car that would be painful. Although selling a car sometimes isn't a painful thing. I wouldn't recommend buying one right now, but also the housing market, people ask me about that. I do think we're going to be seeing some correction. I think opportunity is maybe a better word. If you've been on the sidelines waiting to buy a house, I would still wait a little bit longer. Obviously, you need to do some research. Don't listen to me. Every market is different. There are places where if you buy now, you're gonna get a deal. There are places where buying now is a terrible idea. So don't listen to a real estate agent. They're trying to sell something. Do some research. Do lots of research. Reventure app is a good place to look. I don't know this guy, so trust me, he hasn't given me any money to say that. Uh, but look at things that will give you more information. Pay attention to where your pennies are going, and ask yourself, what are you doing to improve your future and put yourself in a better place and have more fun. Have more fun. I would love to hear about the businesses you guys have started. I would love to hear that rather than watching the news, you went to the local business office and got an LLC and started working on moving forward with that business, or you bought a new laptop so that you could write that book and put that book on a laptop that's not connected to the internet. I don't know anybody who's doing that. I'm just saying. I would love to hear about all of that new stuff. Because I see a lot of that coming this year. Because people are going to grab that chaotic energy and they're going to use the things that are making them scared at night, and they're going to channel into something really, really positive. And I am excited to see what comes of this in the next few years. Um, I would love to say that, in a couple of days, all of this is going to be over, but I do feel like we're going to see it's going to hit a tipping point. I feels like March is going to be just like, it's too much. It's too much chaos, too much. And there'll be some kind of a shocking event, perhaps several, maybe even a stepping down. I don't know, where change happens and things get into a more calm place. I'm not going to say better, because some people would consider it better, some people would consider it worse. I do like how much information is coming out. I would say I'm in favor of disclosure events, even if I disagree with some of the context. I like knowing where the government's putting the money, frankly. That I think is going to be good information, and we'll start to be able to really question if we're satisfied with where our tax dollars are really going. And I'm hoping, or I'm optimistic that we're going to see some positive change in that, because I know each one of you watching is going to be doing something good, and they're going to be wanting to make the world a better place, and you're going to be making efforts on that, on the behalf of your personal situation and on behalf of the world situation, because I am very confident in that. So having said that, I'll see you guys next week. Have a great day. It's going to be fine. I know at times though it doesn't seem that way. I'll be honest, I'm thinking that too. But it's going to be, it really is going to be okay. I just keep feeling that it is going to be positive change. It'll be okay in the end. That didn't come out right. I think you know what I mean. It'll be okay. Promise. Okay. See you guys. Bye.